Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. And ladies and gentlemen, Boom was playing some shooters on the Xbox. I thought I sent a DM, and my God, I averted a crisis because I have Crispy Bond texting me. I have Dreadpool DMing me. Hey, Boom, where's the link? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there has been so much news this morning, so much news yesterday, so much news on Monday, and with Gamescom. I honestly don't remember a one specific 5-day block that we had gaming news that could last an entire 6-month span. Like, honestly, I think that this week that just happened, starting on Monday, with, of course, Saudi Arabia okaying the deal, to then this morning's breaking news that was then shut down by CNBC of Amazon potentially announcing they were going to acquire EA, which I still think could happen, or we're going to talk about that. And of course, yesterday we had the the announcement of the price hike for PlayStation 5. I gotta say, folks, specifically with that story, I am going to go ham on that specifically. I know that I've talked about Crispy Bomb having a lot to say, and Dread and Fuzzy and Web Dave, but I think what bothers me the most is my disappointment in the human being element. I'm going to read you some quotes from people that dogpiled on me specifically because I responded to Brap regarding the price increase, and I thought that I was being very fair. Like, I wasn't being a tool, I wasn't being aggressive. I basically said, and I'll read it verbatim in a second, something to the effect that, with families that are struggling to put the food on the table, I find that this price hike, on top of everything Sony has done to gouge its fan base, is wrong. And personally, folks, I honestly don't think that that's wrong. That's a wrong statement. I think, yes, people are struggling, and it's not just in the U.S. This is worldwide. I mean, listen. As a video game fan, I'm also a financial fan. I'm a retired guy. I only get so much money on my pension, so I have to be frugal with the way I do business, which is why Xbox Game Pass really does support people like myself, because I don't have $100 to just snap and get rid of, on a game that I may or may not like. So that's why Game Pass is big. But I think what really disappointed me isn't that people dogpiled on me. I'm a retired police officer. You can only imagine what I heard in my 21 years serving the city. So criticism and name calling, well, it just rolls off my back like a duck with water. But I think that the way people really dug their heels in the ground and suggested that you have to be rich to enjoy this luxury of gaming is a falsity. I think that it is small-minded, and I think anyone that suggested, well, if you're having trouble putting food on the table, you shouldn't worry about games. Why not? Is gaming for rich people? Is it for well-off people? What if I was saying this to the guys moments in before we went live in the green room. What if you're a parent? What if this gaming system is not for you? What if the PlayStation is for your son or daughter that just had a killer year in school and they hit all A's, and you want to reward them for doing good work? And now you find out that Sony's charging you $70 for games. They're charging you $50 extra for the PS5. Inflation in a way that we have never in the history of gaming seen ever. A console's out 2 years, and instead of dropping the price, they raised the price by $50. And this is a service that they're charging you $18, $3 more than the competition. And you're not getting day and day games, and all you're getting is old games, which is what they said they didn't play. I mean, come on, let's stop the nonsense. But I'm going to read some of these quotes, and I just want to give people the heads up. I'm not going to tell you who they are, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the last thing that I want to do is be responsible for someone getting dogpiled on because I gave their name out there. If you really want to find out who it is, you go to the socials and you look it up yourself. But I'm going to read some quotes that are going to make you sick to your stomach. But before we do that, Let's welcome in the panel, and we're going to start first with Crispy Bomb. Not really a special guest because he was on this show for years. Crispy, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, Boom! I am fired up to say the least, and I got some great points to rebuttal just about every single person that has decided to defend Sony Nation all of a sudden. And yeah, by the way, I could pull out some receipts on these select few people that dogpiled on Xbox when they did the live gold
Yes.
increase. So
Yeah.
I get to keep the same energy because I was all over Xbox about this. And because we were all over them, they decided to change their mind. So I guess you guys are just happy with whatever Sony does. And I'm not. And I'm actually going to sell my PlayStation 4, by the way. So that's gone. Kid ain't using it. I'm not using it. I don't support, companies that do stuff like this. But we're going to get into more as we get into this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, thanks to Dreadpool for dropping the super chats into the our private chat, because that does definitely help me. The first one of the day comes from Andrew Soos, who drops a $5 super sticker. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for the generosity, but more importantly, thank you for being here on this Friday morning. And speaking of Dreadpool, 2 questions: how you feeling, and what have you had for breakfast?
Oh man, I feel like I've been dragged under the bus, under a truck, and then some, and also be tied up behind an aircraft carrier as it went across the Atlantic.
That's very descriptive.
Oh, yeah, but on the good news, it's Friday. I'm here. I got my coffee. Tiny Giant wanted pancakes today, and she decided that she wanted pancakes in the waffle maker that she got me with a little miniature 4-inch. Grogu in the basket from Mandalorian. So I made a whole bunch of pancake waffles. I mean, it wasn't really the waffle mix, but it was the pancake mix. I didn't feel like messing with the oil, but yeah, it's really good. So yeah, it's just one of those things, right? You gotta change it up a little bit, and I liked her idea, so it was fun eating these waffles. But yeah, having a good time. Like I said, I'm recouping now. It's Friday. I'm all excited. There's so much animosity on the Twitter spaces and world and all that is ridiculous. But we're here to have a good time. Let's talk about the news and clear up some of this animosity that's being thrown around.
Yeah, we will. And you know what the problem is? The problem is, Dread, very simply, is the Sony fan base is loyal to a fault and absolutely responsible for promoting this kind of bad behavior, which Sony continues to do. They are the market leader, right? There's no denying that. There's no denying that they have had a killer 2022 regarding their first party. Now, granted, the first 2 offerings were loaded with controversy, because obviously, instead of Gran Turismo 7 being a celebrated game, a return to greatness of what used to be a great racer, it was marred in ridiculous bugs, and it was marred in, of course, ridiculous microtransactions, and of course, Horizon Forbidden West. I have a huge love of that series. And unfortunately, it was again loaded with bugs. It's much better now, but still, it turned me off where I returned to it and I just walked away from it afterwards. It's just, I have no inkling to go play it. And then this year, remainder of the year, I think that the highlight for them is going to be God of War. Hopefully, it's going to be God of War later this year. The Last of Us looks good, but not worth $70. And I think everyone would agree with that. So, yeah, Sony doing bad things and their fan base defending it, and it's pretty ridiculous when you think about how quickly these same folks that we all know who we're talking about would be dogpiling on Microsoft if they did half of what Sony has done and continues to do. So they're actually responsible for this, and Sony's eating it up, and Sony's also someone that appreciates the console war. As opposed to Microsoft, being the good guy that they are, and they don't like the bad actors, and they want only good people in their ecosystem. But listen, let's welcome in the rest of the crew. Fuzzy Belvedere, you've been a busy guy. You've been on 3 podcasts of mine this week because, my God, this week I delivered five consecutive days of live content, and I'm wiped out. I kind of need a break, and after 12 o'clock, I'm going to get just that. But Fuzzy, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling great, and man, to be in this video game, hobby, it just seems like the news has been pretty, I'd say, overwhelming this week between Gamescom wrapping up and man, just random tweets about EA and Amazon. There's going to be a lot to get into, but man, PlayStation, what are you guys doing? It just seems like the ever since, and I'll quote Crazy Lou on this one. Ever since they snitched on Microsoft, it seems like they've been stepping on rakes every chance they get.
Yeah, they absolutely have, or stepping on there, because that they have been doing as well. Real quick before I talk about Web Dave, who's back and thankfully feeling much better from his COVID-19 situation that unfortunately him and his entire family were dealing with. Shooter 2853 drops an outstanding and extremely generous $20 super chat. He says, "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Boom. Here, mate, buy yourself a tub of cream cheese, my dear fellow pensioner. Hey to all the excellent panel members." Yeah, thank you for that. And yes, cream cheese is one of my. I actually had it this morning with some raisin toast and a nice big 20-ounce cup of coffee. So that was my breakfast dread. Boring, but still yummy at the same time.
It's close enough. It works.
Yeah. It does. But Web Dave, welcome back, brother. How the heck are you feeling?
I'm alive.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I'm
I mean, that's a big win.
It's a win. Yeah, man. I'm ready for talking today, man. This is wow. What a
week, man. What a week, exactly. Week. Yeah.
Let's get into it though, man. Let's go.
All right. So listen, let's start off with the story that it never was. I'll get to everyone because one of my biggest things as a host is I try to get into the chat and welcome everybody individually. That's like a me thing. So I have done with somebody with some of the chat. I will get to everyone eventually. But let me get to the story that was and then it wasn't. It was reported this morning by multiple sources that, of course, the big news or the expected big news that was never happening or didn't happen was that Amazon was set to announce the acquisition of EA Games. And folks, this is something that would have shocked the world. I think it would have potentially been as big, maybe even bigger, than Xbox announcing their acquisition of the Call of Duty folks, of course, ABK or Activision Blizzard King. And then it was reported by David Saber of CNBC, where he was talking about this Swedish report. Now, this originally was picked up by USA Today, and the leaker or the rumor maker is Good Luck, Have Fun. I've never heard of them, but apparently they have leaked some big stories before. They called it a Swedish report. Now, I don't know if that's an acronym for the way that they handle news. I don't know, folks, because I've never heard of that terminology, but that's what they called it. And David Saber of CNBC has debunked it. Apparently, he talked to the people that would have been involved in the deal, and they said that, and I'm assuming it's Amazon, that they have no interest. They were not going to announce or that this deal was not going to happen. I'd be honest with you. If it would have happened, it would have been great to talk about. I think it would have been great news to discuss for weeks on end. What happens? Is everything going to go to Amazon's Luna? And it's going to, we're not going to see EA games on, PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. But again, it was a never was, unfortunately. But look, here's the thing, folks. EA is going to get bought by somebody. We know that they have put it out on the socials that they are looking to be bought off. Why that is, I don't know. But everything is costing more and more money, especially to make these big AAA blockbusters. let's get to the panel, and then we will move on to the big story. Xbox responds to confirming no price hike, and there were some people that read into this in a way that was preposterous. We also are going to talk about what happened, because a lot of the folks on this panel, we didn't get a chance to get their opinions on the price hike and whether or not that is acceptable in gaming, considering their console is almost 2 years old. And we will get to that momentarily. But Crispy, we'll start with you first. Were you taken aback, and are you surprised that that Amazon came out and said, no, we're not buying EA?
Oh man, it being involved a little bit in the stock market, what ended up happening is EA stock went like through the roof, and then all of a sudden they said, no, this isn't happening. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, this smells fishy to me. I don't know what is transpiring. It's almost like they're just like, somebody from EA did this to try to get the stock up. It's very strange. Generally, they have to report these things. They have to actually, put this stuff out there. It could be really true just, in the beginning stages. And they walked it back because, insider trading type stuff like that. So, there's something that's just not right with this. And, at the end of the day, EA, I mean, they look like they're primed and ready to be purchased. Do we wish it would be like somebody like Microsoft? Sure, but Xbox got enough going on right now, and I don't think they'd be able to pull out another publisher anytime soon, especially in the regulatory stuff that's going on just with ABK alone. So, Amazon, Apple, I mean, it seems like EA's primed and ready to have some big company come and scoop them up, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, only time is going to tell, ladies and gentlemen. And look, the word of the day here is consolidation, right? Like it's safe to say that at some point, maybe 5 years down the line, maybe 10 years down the line, there is going to be a couple of big superpowers, and everyone's going to be under the superpowers for a multitude of reasons. And in that conversation is Embracer, is Microsoft, is Sony, is Nintendo. Obviously, you could see an Amazon in there. I don't think Google's going to get involved. I think they realize that they bit off more they can chew, and then gaming is expensive. And of course, you also have Apple, which could be, I mean, there's been talk for years that Apple would be potentially buying Sony or PlayStation. I actually hope that they do, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this is completely off subject. If Apple were to buy Sony, which I hope happens, honestly, the Spider-Man rights revert back to Disney. That's right. I bet you didn't know that. That's in the contract. If Sony proper is sold, they can't. Whoever's the buyer can't buy the Spider-Man rights. They are immediately are reverted back to its original owner, which would of course be Marvel, what now is owned by Disney. And I hope that actually happens, because then at that point, well, Sony might not be able to hold Spider-Man hostage on Xbox. I mean, on PlayStation from Xbox. Again, this is just silliness, but I figured I'd make mention of it. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Mm-hmm. Shocking or not shocking? Is this the prelude, so to speak, to EA maybe getting purchased in 2023? Maybe even at the end of this year.
I think it's still a possibility. It kind of surprised me that it was Amazon. Not that Amazon wouldn't purchase them, but I kind of see Amazon for, targeting a bigger fish. And I've probably posted this on Twitter a number of times. I eventually predict that, Amazon's going to wind up buying Sony when, they take a little bit of a beating later on this generation. But that's another story. But as far as EA, I kind of figured, because I know they've been in talks with some of these bigger companies, and I kind of figured that Apple would be the ones to kind of pull it out, just primarily because of the sports licensing stuff. It looks like Apple wants to get more involved in that. So with their like TV streaming stuff, so having the gaming as a backup, not really a backup, but something that you can also monetize. I can totally see Apple, incorporating, an EA into their fold rather easily. Same with Amazon. Amazon could do it as well, but like I said, I think they got a bigger target. I think when they finally step their big toe in the pool of gaming, beyond what they've already done with their studios for PC stuff, I think they're going to really make a splash on the scene. But man, quick news, but yeah. Yeah, EA is definitely going to somebody here soon.
Well, it's funny. It was like a sparkler. You ever lit a sparkler and you hold it and it's gone? You're like, oh, yeah, look how bright, and it's dark. That's exactly what happened with this story. It came in and went out like a lightning bug. Dreadpool. Listen, so far Crispy and Fuzzy have brought up good points. EA is primed to be purchased. Obviously, we thought it was going to be Amazon. That was debunked. Who do you think goes out? That's not Microsoft, because Sony can't do it. Listen, whoever does this deal, and I was talking with Everborn Saga this morning, this is going to be a $50 billion deal. Now, the last I checked, when you looked at the top 12 of the publishers, EA was the highest. They were worth $38.9 billion. And that was last year. I haven't checked since because, well, I had no reason to. And Everborn and I came up with that if this deal does get announced, it is going to be $50 billion. Who has that kind of money, man? And who purchases EA next, bro?
You might not like what I'm going to say.
Well, listen, it's okay.
Here we go. Ready? So the options are, we've already gone across the table. The one thing is I'm going to say, and Crispy already said it also, it might still be in early stages where certain people don't know what's going on, or they cannot say anything, right? Just like, because when you sell a business, you can't tell your employees, I'm selling the business. So that way, and they're like, hey, I'm going to buy this house, this, and this. You're not allowed to tell them that you're selling the business. You can't even hint, don't buy the house, and it's wrong that they force that on you. So Amazon is still a potential, even though officially they are out of the running. Okay, so let's remember that. Mm-hmm. But the other two big ones that I could think of, and that's on the one side, if they're allowed to again, it would be Tencent, because Tencent has been pulled back on the reins by China. Now, if they're allowed to do anything with that, that's another story. Especially when you're talking about buying EA, that's huge. But realistically, the only one I could think of would be Embracer Group. They would be the ones to pull this, because they've been doing a little bit here, a little bit there, and I could see them doing a major buy, like this. Not just a major when we look at it as in IPs, a couple IPs here that would be major, or 5 studios, to them that's a little piece rate. That's why nobody's really noticing, or even, I guess, freaking out that they're a monopoly, but that's, but who knows what's going to happen if they were to go after EA. They do have a lot of IPs. They do have a bigger company. It is a bigger number than what they've been buying. So I could see that as being substantially relevant to them being the ones that be purchasing it, if Amazon aren't the ones that are going to be doing it. So that's kind of, like I said, Tencent would be the ones I'd be worried about. If it's Embracer Group, though, so far they got a good record of not screwing it up. Amazon, they don't really have a record. The record.
Yeah, they don't.
It's still a negative record. It's not a bad record. It's just, how well could they support what they got to do? And it's bad enough that EA still can't support their latest Battlefield that they put out.
There's a big update coming for that. As a matter of fact, I saw Pong So, who's in the chat. He was very excited about it. Him and Mav, who play together, along with a lot of the crew that they hang out with. Supposedly, it looks amazing. I didn't get a chance to see. I know there's a new operator coming. There's a new map. There's a couple new guns coming. So, I mean, they're making some headways. But you're right. EA needs to tighten up their ship for sure. And obviously, one of the ways we saw them doing that, Dread, is putting the head of Call of Duty, who is now, of course, in charge of the studio that brought us Titanfall Respawn, in charge of basically everything.
I mean, you look at right now, Humble Bundle, they have sales on Square Enix. and a lot of that stuff is IPs. You know, obviously they're old IPs that Lara Croft, Deus Ex, or however you say that one.
Yeah, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. There you go. There's a lot of those that Embracer now owns.
Yep.
So
that was
maybe
such
they're
a
trying
steal.
to. Yeah, that was a steal, and that's the thing. Maybe they're trying to. They're trying to get as much money out of it before they lose all the rights to selling those games, because I mean you're talking about $1.99 for Deus Ex the Fall. I really don't know much about it.
If you can see a game for $2, I don't care if you've never heard of the series, buy it.
Yeah, but I mean you're looking at all this stuff. Where was it? I just saw it here. There was a Lara Croft's one, the newest one, the Tomb Raider. 98 cents for Underworld.
Holy crap.
97 cents for Legend. Okay, those are the older ones.
Yeah, those are the older ones, but those two are actually pretty good, to be honest with you. For $1, yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, $13.19.
Yeah, that's a great, I didn't like that one the best, honestly.
Rise
is my favorite.
$6.
Yeah. Oh my god! If you don't have that in your collection, get over there and buy that game.
So yeah, I mean, and it just shows that there's something going on, because obviously Embracer's not just going to sit on on these IPs.
Well, it's funny. We have an Embracer story we're going to talk about that specifically, and I think that this fire sale that you're seeing is because of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be a 5-minute story, but yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, listen, Dredd, good points as always. You obviously have seen companies like your own get purchased. This one didn't surprise me. I tell you, I was more surprised that it wasn't happening, Dredd, to be honest with you, because if you look at all the moves that Amazon is doing, remember they picked up the house that owns James Bond in MGM. You know what I'm saying? So that deal went through.
And what have they done with it so far?
No, they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. And what's crazy is that during Gamescom, I think it would have been the 25th, right? The 25th anniversary of GoldenEye, which was expected to be announced and dropped into Game Pass, and that didn't happen because of what's going on with Russia. It's a real cluster for sure. But listen, let's get Web Dave in the conversation. Dave, this was a bit of a shocker to wake up to this morning. My DMs were flooded. A big shout out to everyone that DM'd me, because a lot of the stories sometimes I miss. I'm human, but what are you more surprised at? The announcement that someone's going to buy EA, or the announcement of the confirmation that it's not going to be Amazon?
Well, like you were saying, that it's not going to be Amazon now. In other words, something may have tipped somebody's hand and leaked out early that wasn't supposed to, and they have to deny, to cover their ass or whatever. If anybody's gonna buy them, it would be Amazon, Apple, or Tencent. Those are the companies that can afford.
Those are the ones with the most money to spend. Yeah,
exactly. And even then, the Tencent. Someone made a really good point in the chat. I think it was Infinite that said that maybe it's somebody else too, but it's a lot of times they go in and they will make an investment.
Yep.
in a company, not necessarily go in and buy them outright.
They have their hands in so many cookie jars. It's bonkers, bro.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Diversification.
So, yep.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that they could do. They could afford that easily. They could. I honestly, I hope Microsoft stays far away from EA. I just don't think that it's they have. I mean, yes, they have. It's a great company. It's big, but I mean, there's so many other companies that make more sense for Microsoft than EA.
I will say this. I know that Phil Spencer has a really good relationship with the head of EA. Obviously, they had that sit down meeting where he kind of let the cat out of the bag about Game Pass being a number where he probably shouldn't have said. Oops. Yep.
Is
sorry.
That right, Phil?
But I would say that whoever Microsoft does go for next, the one thing that I'm starting to notice is that Microsoft, after this Activision Blizzard King deal, Matt Booty has so much on his plate that I honestly think that he's overwhelmed. I mean, I don't know Matt Booty personally. I can't say. I can only assume that. I mean, there's a reason why Todd Howard and oh my God, why do I forget the other guy's name? Oh my God,
Pete Hines.
Pete, thank you so much for the say. Pete Hines. They are running the show at Bethesda, and Phil Spencer can sit back with confidence knowing that they're going to run the ship right. With EA, obviously, I think that the head guy that's there now would probably be the guy that continues to run it if they try to get them next year, which would be crazy, would be bonkers. But you look at like the ABK deal. I would imagine that King is going to remain the way it is because King is making money hand over fist, and there's been no issues with sexism or racism or anything in that, so that's fine. We know that Blizzard has a new president in Mike Ybarra, and I believe that he's an Xbox employee, and he wants the best for his employees. More importantly, he wants the best for the players. So I think that Mike Ybarra stays in charge. The only question mark is who replaces the devil, known as Scumbag of the Universe. And I won't even say his name because it's like Voldemort. Don't do it.
It's going to happen. He's gone. It's just a matter.
Oh yeah, he's gone. The question is, who do they put there?
You want there's a lot of people that have, like even some former Microsoft employees that work, at Blizzard that definitely could step up to the plate. So
remember when I said, Mike Ybarra, I wonder if that's like an undercover
undercover boss.
Mike and Rod are infiltrating.
Right?
Exactly.
It's good. Who I think is going to take over Activision? Honestly, I wouldn't be saddened by it because I love her. Sarah Bond.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. I think Sarah Bond is going to be announced as the president and CEO of Activision when the deal is done. And I think that for a gazillion and a half reasons why that needs to happen. But I think the most, the number one reason isn't because she's African American or she's a woman, is because she has the chops.
Yes,
it is because she is so smart and so talented. If you ever listen to her speak, I tell you right now, I would follow her into a lava pit because she said it was safe to do so. I'm being honest with you. Like I think she really does have the chops. She is. I just think that if you're going to put someone in a position where racism and sexism and boys clubs and all this other shit that went on over there, unchecked for years, could come in and make that place a workplace that you really truly enjoy going to. It would be her. And again, that's maybe I'm fanboying over here, but I do really like the fact that she is so out there. You know what I'm saying? With the community.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, and she's one of the reasons a lot of people don't give her as much credit for that. She's one of the reasons that Game Pass is as diverse and as popular.
100%.
And I mean, that was one of her mandates was, getting Game Pass to grow in other countries. The whole Japanese part where they have the individuals, or independent, that was all helped set up by her and her determination to get that going. Over 200 developers, independent developers are working, on games for Xbox in Japan, which is absolutely amazing. And that's what the company needs. 100%. They need that kind of growth. Oh yeah. What was it? The Bloomberg interview that everybody's like, they keep saying that, or they said in the intro that Sonic is.
Yeah, that was wow. That was a big mess. It got me excited.
Maybe it's a premonition.
Maybe.
Remember, we just
the home of Sonic
I loved it. Yeah, that was so great.
Didn't we also have that flub of it's this number, right, Phil?
Yeah, right. Phil?
So maybe it's a flub. Maybe there's something there.
Wishful thinking, or
I know I'm wishful thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be something. That's for sure. But listen, folks. This is bonkers. We're 34 minutes into today's program, and we have 540 people here. I mean,
awesome.
thank you so much for
people.
being here. if you're new, we hit 11K last week on this show live, which was amazing. We're not going to hit 12K on this show because that would be bonkers, but we are close to hitting 11.1. I got like 60 new subs this week, and like I said, it's a small channel. We only average 150 to 200 subs per month. So to get 60 this week is bonkers. So if you're new, I want to welcome you into the House of Boom. Mrs. BoomStick and I run a tight ship here. It is run with community first minded moves that we make. Lots of live content. This week happened to be super busy. And of course, being retired, I could answer the call at the drop of a hat. And I produced, this was my 5th live show in a row. And everything is done on YouTube. But then as soon as this show is done, I take it and I drop it to all of your favorite podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, I'm on it. So check us out there. But I want to move on to the topic that I'm most jazzed for, the one that I have a heaviness in my heart because of how people responded, how people acted. I just want to say this, that I don't care. I come from humbling beginnings, folks. My dad was a blue collar dude. My mom didn't work. Listen, the reality is that I don't think you have to be rich to enjoy gaming. I'm going to say this right now. If you're someone that puts worth, that you have to have a certain worth to be in gaming, and you're going to use that as the lead topic, I say unsub my channel immediately, and you're a degenerate. And you have no voice in this community, or you shouldn't, because that's disgusting. I think that I don't care what you come from, what humble beginnings, whether you come from money or you come from dirt poor, everyone should have the ability to play games. And like I said in the opening, just because I said yesterday, and I meant it from the bottom of my heart, because growing up, there were some times where it was tough for my parents, specifically my pop, to put food on the table. Why shouldn't he want an Atari 2600 for his boys? Why shouldn't he want us to have a ColecoVision or a Nintendo in 85? Why wouldn't he want to do that as a parent? So don't give me that bullshit, pardon my French, about you having to have a certain status quo or be in a certain station to afford gaming. Because if you're thinking like that, pardon my French again, you're an effing asshole. I'm going to tell you that right now. So before I get into the panel, I'm going to go to Chris because he's the one that's probably one of the most fired up. I want to read some quotes. Now, again, folks, I am not someone that agrees or accepts bullying. So that's why I don't mention people's names, because I don't want to be responsible for someone. See, I don't mind if you dogpile on me. I got broad shoulders. I'm 6 feet. I can carry the world. It's not a problem. But I'm not going to be responsible for sending a pack of wild dogs onto someone because they have an opinion. I don't agree with these opinions 100%, but I'm not going to be a part of dog piling on anyone else because I don't like it. So I would never do that to somebody else. But I'm just going to read you some quotes that disappointed me, that from people that I had a tremendous amount of respect for, and I no longer do. And this is the first one. Great article, and I recommend everyone read Jez's work. Point to be made here is, with nothing new from Xbox's first party in 2022, the Xbox and Xbox entering the holiday season without a big AAA game, Microsoft/Xbox aren't in a position to raise the price even if they wanted to. Wow. Talk about small-minded. And I want to shout out Infinite Umbra, who's in the chat, who was on yesterday's show, and who's a new panel member to the Xbox Factor podcast. He had put a bunch of these quotes. I had asked him, and this one to me is the most egregious of them all, or at least one of them. And I quote, folks, someone actually said this in real life. "We don't accept broke boys into the PlayStation community. If you want cheap fast food, you can check out Xbox Welfare Pass. If you want to play PlayStation, you got to pay. Simple. Gaming is a privilege. Get checked." Holy shit. Like, there are people that actually think like this. Okay, so here's another one. So everything, everything, and I mean everything, has gone up in price due to inflation. But the minute PlayStation 5 consoles do, there's outrage. Most of y'all don't even live in said countries with the increase. Y'all just want to have fake outrage. Why are y'all holding spaces about rent going up? Okay. Now, this one is a good one. Again, I'm not putting anyone's name out there because, well, I don't want any problems and I don't want to give anyone any problems. A lot of people are criticizing Sony for this. Is funny. A lot of people are criticizing Sony for raising the price of the PlayStation 5, but this is actually a good move and they're saving you money. For example, I was originally going to buy a PlayStation 5 for €4.99, but now I'm not buying one at all. So that's a great one. Let's see. Now this one, again, not giving you the name, is from an actual journalist. And this is from it's from a prominent newspaper. I am blown away. Like, honestly, folks, blown
Can I
away.
cough out the name?
No.
I'm not doing it.
Here we go. Imagine if gamers expressed a similar level of outrage for not having any AAA console exclusives to play in 2022 versus a minor price hike due to material inflation. That's an actual gaming journalist getting on a train, a crazy town train, talking about we should be mad. I mean, listen, I've given, if you follow me, I gave and I continue to give Xbox the smoke, the righteous smoke that they have earned, not giving us anything first party. But you can't deny all of the games coming into Game Pass. It's bonkers, bro. Like, the rest of the year is just crazy good for Xbox Game Pass. So I can't argue with that. I'm just disappointed that I wanted Motorsport this year. I wanted Starfield this year. Hell, I wanted Redfall this year, but it's not coming. That's, you know what? As the late and great Richard Pryor said, tough titty, right? I mean, these things happen. Let's see if I have some other stuff here. This is as class act as you can get, and I mean that with an unbelievable amount of disrespect. PlayStation making big moves. They are finally charging more than Xbox because it's worth more. I love the aggression. They have positioned themselves as the kings of gaming, and now they're charging a premium worth every penny. Wow. Okay, so listen, I have another 10, and I'm not going to waste your time with this ridiculousness. These folks are just dumb. Like, honestly, I cannot believe you could wake up in the morning, potentially be responsible for a household that has a wife or a husband and kids, and you are out there preaching this rhetoric. Mind-blowing, the stupidity. And there are real people that think like this. Crispy, please, I don't have to roll this out to you. Take it away, brother. Go crazy.
Man, I'm sad at this point. I'm sad for, first of all, defending something so egregious and never been done, by the way. There's no hardware extras to this PS. It's literally what they released 2 years ago, people.
Yeah, it's not a Pro. They're not sticking in extra.
This has never happened. Never. Go look back. It's never happened. 2 years. Okay, usually you get some kind of reduction like Xbox has been doing already. Think about that. What did you mess up in how you built the chip? Something happened, so you're going to hand it down to the consumer? Yeah, that makes sense, especially in inflation and basically a recession that happened in 2008. That, guess what, they didn't raise no prices then. So what has changed now? Explain that to me. Now you're gonna bring up chip shortage, this and that? Well, why isn't Xbox raising it? Why isn't Nintendo, who said that they're not raising it? How about that? And Nintendo technically is a much smaller company than Sony, so how can they afford not to raise the price? But Sony, and by the way, the U.S. region, that don't count. because we have to compete with Xbox. That's the only reason why. I mean, would you get your heads out of your butts for the love of God? Like, you are literally defending somebody just bending you over and giving you a donkey kick right into you know what. And you're just taking it. And you're not only taking it, but you're defending it. I mean, give me a break, okay? I mean, gaming, okay, it's a luxury. Well, guess what's a luxury? Because, you know, I grew up poor, by the way. Having a car, having a hot shower, because guess what? I took cold ones, okay? Having internet, okay? These are all technically luxuries. You know what? You need food, water, and a roof over your head. There you go. I don't need no furniture. I could sleep on the floor. But is that right? Hell no, it's it.
Of course it's not.
It's just not right, okay?
Yeah.
And for you to sit here and act like, you know, a $300 console ain't just sitting there. Sony, you have literally DRM'd yourself back at Xbox 2013. You have done this to yourself.
Yep.
You have now taken all the regions that you've been leading in and said, F you, we only care about the United States. That's what you just did. So if it's inflation, guess what? There's inflation even tenfold in the United States. Yet that's your reasoning and you're not doing it here. Oh, that's interesting. It's called bull crap. Okay. And for you PlayStation crazies, because that's what you are, that's what you have made yourself look like at this point, who many of you, I have the receipts, by the way, and you laid right into Xbox when you could, when they tried to increase Xbox Live Gold. So don't give me this, because any of you that try to argue with me back, I will go all the way back to almost a year ago, if not longer, and go find all of those screenshots I have, because you guys are giving me more now. So you want $70 games. You want to pay for a service that's $3 more that doesn't have day and date exclusives. You want to tell me that it's acceptable for certain regions and not even the whole world because of inflation to charge upwards of $50 more for the console that is the same console you released 2 years ago. This is unheard of. Sony, you got to change it or you're in trouble. And I'm going to tell you right now, all we need, Phil, you want to put the boot on the throat, bring out that family pan ASAP and watch people flock to it, because you can get, what are we were looking at, $250 in some of these regions for Series S. Come on now. You know what? You got to eat the cost. We saw it with the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3. You were taking losses on those consoles. You got to eat the cost right now. And if you're not going to do that, shame on these Sony diehards that could sit here and act like it's just okay. Just take it. It's fine. Oh, you got to be rich. Do you know what that says to like half the world? Yeah, screw you.
Preposterous, dude.
Okay, and people look at these things. So, you know, maybe just don't say anything at all. Maybe that's better, because right now you just look like an idiot.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, no, listen, great rant. I did some, you know, this is what's bonkers to me, folks. Like, I understand big business. I understand. I'm not a businessman. I don't have a business degree, right? I got some college credits when I was in the academy. I have, my high school diploma, but I consider myself pretty sharp. And this is what's crazy. These are a list I put together for the Sony zealots out there. All right, because when you agree with all of this, you're a zealot. You're not a gamer. You're just a zealot. You are capping, as the kids say, for Sony, and they're laughing at you. They're literally laughing. Look at these people. We can charge them more. Hashtag charge them more. Everborn Saga with the shirts, right? They were $69. I think now they're $20. But then when you go to buy it, he's going to charge you $69, and I don't blame him. $70 games. And these are the excuses. Well, we pay for top tier quality. Oh, okay. I mean, why not $80 games at that point for Sony? PlayStation Premium, no day and date. We pay for top tier quality. Support the devs, right? PS5 being raised $50 everywhere, but in the US, PlayStation US gamers, I don't care. It's worth it. Hashtag Xbox has no games. Hashtag support the devs. This is the rhetoric that is happening on the socials, folks. It's just bonkers. It's embarrassing. If you are on this train, you need to get off at the next stop. But let me catch up on some of the super chats. Been quite a few of them, and then we will bring Dreadpool into the conversation. We have here our good friend Kingfish 737, who's been a channel member for 8 months, brother. Thank you so much for that. He says, morning Boom and the amazing panel. I'm excited to hear today's discussion about all things gaming. Hashtag gaming is for everyone. Thank you. That's awesome. Ricky Phelan drops a very generous $10 super chat. Ricky, thanks so much for being here. And of course, the comment is worth its weight in gold. He says, this is just because, Boom, you are awesome, brother. Never change. Yeah, what you see is what you get. This is how it was in uniform. Honestly, this is what you got. And that's why I had an amazing 21 years as a New York City police officer. I loved every minute of it. And I miss it. Honestly, I miss helping people. But doing this is just, it's amazing. Having this community, and to be able to come out and talk every day to you guys and gals, it's what I live for, honestly. Eternal Shaddai. Wow, dude. I think this is like the third super chat of the week, dude. $20. Thank you so much for the very continued generosity. He says if Embracer Group were to purchase, they would buy certain studios like they did with Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. I see them acquiring Criterion would be great. And BioWare. Oh, man, BioWare. Do you remember when Microsoft passed on BioWare before EA? What a mistake. My God. If I can go back in time, I would be like, who do I got to talk to? Buy them, because they're going to turn out to be terrible because people are crying under desks. We got to save BioWare. And he says that he agrees with Sarah Bond taking over for Ricky Bobby. Yeah, I just think she is just dynamite. I think she's the answer. And like I said, there are a lot of political reasons why you'd put her there, but I think the most important reason why you put Sarah there is because she can handle it. She's talented enough to do a Phil Spencer-esque type of job. And I think she'd be perfect for the position. I actually hope that's what happens, to be honest with you, because like I said, I think that Activision has a stink to it. It's going to have a stink to it until they get people in a proper position where they can make some moves and they can, change the company's, outlook or the way they used to be. And I think she could do that, honestly. We also have our good brother, Pixel Bit G. What's going on, brother? He says, he drops a $5 and says, cheers, Boom. Can't agree more. I come from the bottom. We gamed via rentals. I did that a lot. And other means. I do very, very well now, but in my house, Game Pass is life. Yeah, listen, like I said, I'm not complaining about I did what I had to do as a cop. But, you do your best last year or your best 3 consecutive years. I did my best 3 consecutive years, and my pension's pretty good. I mean, I'm not rolling with a Rolls Royce or anything, but I got no complaints. Chris Gomez. Wow, Chris, thank you so much for the very generous $10 super chat. He says the PlayStation 5 price increase is a definite signal that formerly exclusive PlayStation games are coming to Steam and eventually will be day and date. Yeah, I have a strong suspicion on that. I know that we had heard from a lot of the Sony zealots about the $70 price increase. They were like, well, if they raise it to $70, they don't have to raise the console, right? I know that you've heard that because I heard it. And guess what?
Yep.
2 years later, they raised the console price by $50. And going back to what Crispy said, it's never been done in the history of freaking gaming. Like, wow. Okay, if you agree with that. And we also have Dan the Man. Wow, we got a lot of super chats here. Dan the Man Cunningham, good friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. And Sony, he says this, Sony will continue with the tax until the fan base finally decides to push back. Loss of revenue will move mountains. Indeed, it was. Sith Lord, who's been a member for 2 months, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I'm so disgusted with Sony at the moment. I'm voting with my wallet, and I'm not buying a PlayStation 5. Not until the price goes down. Till then, I'll give money to my Xbox. Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And Michael Mooney drops a very generous £5 super chat and says Sony needs all the cash for its EV deal with Honda. Maybe that's what it is. And Infinite Umbra, good friend and obviously panel member of the Xbox Factor podcast, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, here's to the inflation. Oh, the Inflation Station 5. Oh, I love that. That is great. You should definitely use that. Dreadpool, let's talk about it. Crispy brought up a magnificent point. where in the history of gaming, which, by the way, we have 625 people here. Oh my God, thank you so much for being here. If you are new, hit the like button, subscribe button, and we're happy to have you. We're having a good time with this conversation. But Dreadpool, you've been gaming as long as you're as old as I am. Not as old. I'm the oldest bastard here, but you've been gaming for probably as long as I have. And in the history of gaming, we have never seen. Now, we have been trained, and maybe this is an us problem, to expect that after the 2-year mark, consoles usually drop. Now, most of us expect it to be $50, but sometimes it's a little less. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's $30, but it's usually it decreases in price because the hardware building it, becomes, cheaper. Here's something that I forgot to make mention that I did not bring up that I want to talk about that I think is relatively incredibly important to the question I'm about to ask you. I pulled wait, let me find it. Oh, man. Okay. You know what? I'll find it in a second. I had pulled a story from VGC from almost a year ago. It was in August. And I will find it when you're talking. But it was announced. Listen to this, folks. A year ago, an entire year ago, by Sony SIE proper, that they were making a profit on every PlayStation 5 sold. At that announcement, they announced that they had just surpassed 10 million consoles sold. So check this out. Again, I'm not a mathematician, right? I don't have a college degree, but I understand economics. Since that announcement, that was a year ago, where they said they were making profits on every PlayStation 5 sold, they have sold 12 million units. If you count they're just under a smidge of. So I'm going to just make it even and say 22 million. Since that report that they announced during a fiscal or financial report, they have sold 12 million PlayStation 5s at a profit. Think about that for a second. And then they drop this shit on us that they want to raise it by $50 because of the economic BS. I call BS once again. But Dreadpool, by all means, take it away. What are your thoughts on this?
All right, so I know Boom's going to remember this, and there's going to be a few people in the chat. Some other people will have to reminisce and flash back to the old movies that you probably don't understand references today. But let's go back to the 80s, and let's... Well, Howard, Darcy and I were talking to Dirk about these poor people coming into our country club to play golf. Can you believe that? Why don't we just kick them out there and show them how we play and stumble? It's like, seriously, this is the whole scenario, right? Poor people are not allowed to play because it's something that you have to get into, right? Well, if you're making profits, why are we increasing prices again? It's yet again, it seems to be like, remember PlayStation 3? Oh, well, if you can't afford that, get a second job.
Indeed.
Right? Yep. Isn't that the same mentality? They reverted back. I mean, seriously, think about it. They kicked, let's say took us, right? Because I'm not allowed to say the other word just yet. It's still a little too early. So another half hour, I'll probably say it. I'll let it slip out. But anyway, yeah, I mean, they dominated in the PlayStation 2 era, right? They thought that their turds didn't stink. So I'm trying to keep it clean.
No, but you're right. You're onto something. You're absolutely onto something.
PlayStation 3 and thinking that they don't stink, and we can pull off whatever we want because we know we got the support. We did so well, we dominated so well, and we can call the shots now, and everybody will follow. We got the lemmings, we got them, right? So what's going on now? PlayStation 4, they learned a lesson. They said, you know what, Microsoft, they think they know what they're talking about, and we already see what's going on. We're going to flip the switch because we've already been humbled. We're going to take this and we're going to flip it, and we're going to work our way back to being number one completely, not from coming back from the end of a year behind and then coming back up to the number one at the end. We're going to be number one from the beginning. We want to be back in that number one spot. We want to be the end all. Sony, that's it. PlayStation, that's it. There is nothing else. And I don't fault them for that, right? If it was my company, I'd be doing the same thing. I want everybody to be associated with this product, to be associated with my company, right? And that's what Xbox is doing. Game Pass is associated with Xbox. Games on PC, you want them to be associated with Xbox, So yeah, you can still play on Steam, but you want this, right? So them doing this, it just leads me back to Hurricane Katrina when it came through New Orleans and devastated everything, right? These oil companies had record losses, and 2 months later they had record profits. Where's your loss, Sony? You didn't even have a loss. You're still. They're going back to the mentality again of, we got the lemmings. Let's throw them out there. We'll throw them out there to the wolves, and they'll do our bidding, and they will take every single wolf bite until they die. And this is what's going on. It's the same thing. People are, we're supposed to think for ourselves. That's why we have these discussions. That's why we have these podcasts. When you're going out there and we have different points of views, you don't want the, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Me too. Okay, that's great. We all agree on it. But what was the discussion? Nobody even remembers the discussion anymore. There was no debate on anything. We are no longer debating stuff. All we do is try to shut each other down. In the meantime, talking about this gets it out there, right? But wait a second, you just brought up something negative about Sony. That means you're an Xbox corporate
You're
slave.
an Xbox.
You know what I mean? And it's like, wait a second, we're giving it to both sides. What's right is right. What we think is right for myself and the people that would be gamers. So I'm thinking for myself, I'm thinking for my daughter, I'm thinking for my wife, I'm thinking for my family, as you all do for yourselves too. So when you're doing this stuff, who are Sony thinking for? They're thinking for themselves as well. So we can't fault them at that, but we have to call them out when they're doing something that's really going to screw up their business. We're not business majors because obviously we don't work for them, but I'm not buying nothing. If you're going to jack up the prices on me, I'm not doing it. It doesn't matter what business it is, even if it's not gaming. Are you going to buy a $100,000 car when just last year it was $30,000? No, you're not going to do that.
Right.
So there's it's the mentality there, and it's just funny, and you got these guys, right? And I'm going to reiterate, these guys are backing everything that Sony is doing, but yet one of them calls himself the PC Master Race.
Yep.
And when asked what kind of new computer he bought, right? He didn't build it, right? And I'm not going to sit there and discuss it. You can buy it, you can build it. I give more props to those that go out of their way and learn how to build a PC, but I'm not going to take anything away from those that bought the PC, right? It's all fair. You're playing the games. Who cares how you managed to get to that point, right? And this is the same thing. Well, you didn't pay the extra $50 like I did. Well, who cares? It doesn't matter. You're playing.
I love it. That's good
right?
stuff.
But yet again, when asked what type of PC you bought, I bought a 3080. That's a graphics card.
That is a graphics card. Indeed, it is. Yes.
What
PC did you buy, sir or madam?
Which are cheaper, by the way. Anybody point that out? They're
that's
cheaper.
right. They did go down in price, didn't they, Crispy? Yeah, that's right. Price
inflation, really.
Think about them apples. So, but yeah, that's we got to call them out. But yet again, we got to remember, we're not trying to dogpile on these people. We're not trying to dogpile on Sony. We're trying to call them out ethically, right? We don't want the stupidness that happens.
Yeah.
We need to call them out so that way they realize, okay, there is a mass population that realizes that we are trying to screw them over. And there's a mass of lemmings that are no longer lemmings, and they're going to call us out on this. Even though the lemmings still have it, and still do this stuff and speak for us, even though we don't officially acknowledge that they speak for us, but we don't deny that they speak for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we got to make sure we do it the right way. We need to criticize them properly and throw it out there. Like I said, if it wasn't for these podcasts, we wouldn't have had stuff change. Remember when Microsoft accidentally, without Phil's knowledge, jacked up the price of Game Pass, right? And gold and all that, and we all as a community,
every one of us
PlayStation guys came out and said something.
Yep.
And when they caught wind of it, they're like, "That wasn't supposed to happen. You almost sank our ship."
Yeah, you know what? Infinite Umbra, shout out to him yesterday when we were talking about it. He said 8. I said 24 hours later. I was miss.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was 8 hours later that they came back and they changed that.
And that's how adamant they were about making this a profitable business. You can't. We know it's going to go up. We know eventually it will go up, right? And how else would they do that? I don't know. Let's give them four users on one account or 5 users.
That's going to be
right.
So
we
big,
jack up the price, but we give them something so that way they don't notice it as bad. But yet we still got a good deal out of it.
Yep, 100%.
You know, so now even if I don't have that many people, but let's say I have 3 people, I've got an extra code somewhere to give to somebody or 2. You see, there's a difference there. And that's what some of these people are not getting. These lemmings are just jumping off the cliff and jumping into the shark's mouth. They're not even just falling off and oops, I fell off off a rock. No, they're head diving into Jaws's mouth. That's it, You know,
it's funny. I'm laughing because I can actually see the lemmings jumping into the shark's mouth.
I'm thinking of Maneater.
That's great. No, I mean, listen, good stuff. And again, so far, so good with this topic. Crispy Bomb and Dreadpool just knocked it out of the park. Listen, let me catch up with some of the super chats.
If you guys want, I'll become Royce again if you all like that.
I love it. Royce, your alter ego. Have Royce write me a check and that hopefully it doesn't bounce. I love it. Shooter 2853 drops who's a new member. Thank you so much for being a channel member, brother. He drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, "Oh boom, please stop cracking me up with the old man thing." Yeah, he's a little older than I am, but definitely appreciate that. BitCloud Gaming, my brother, he did an amazing video yesterday. He's a PlayStation dude. He represents the PlayStation how you would expect it to be done in a proper way. Him and Mr. Badbit, who I tried to get here because I would have loved to have Joe live on the air, but he's working. He's a big man now, so Joe is working. Two PlayStation podcasts that I fully back, and of course that's BitCloud Gaming and Mr. Badbit. You should definitely get over there, follow them both on Twitter, and sub their channels. They're great dudes, but more importantly, great podcasts that represent PlayStation in the way that you would expect. And he says this after being a channel member for 15 months. Wow, dude, thank you so much for that. He said, "Sucks I couldn't make it, but I know you guys are going to bring the heat. I see you, Crispy." Yeah, he always does. Him and Crispy got a thing going on where they constantly badgering each other. But listen, Raiden Blade, who's been a member for 1 year. Wow, brother. Thank you so much for that. He drops a very generous 10-pound super chat and says, "Hey, Boom, was listening to another podcast where information came out that Microsoft had hiked prices in India. I have checked it, and as of the official Xbox India site, no price hike. Yeah, what happened there, and thanks for bringing that up, was the exchange rate of their monies. It wasn't because Xbox raised prices. It was because of the way that their dollar, the exchange rate for their actual dollar is what changed the price. So people ran with that, and it was immediately debunked. I mean, anything to poop on Xbox, it's just sickening at this point. A Highlander 001 who's been a channel member for 2 months. Thank you so much for that. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "I find it funny that after the Microsoft acquisition of ABK and the fact Sony will lose money because of Call of Duty, they raise the prices of their consoles." Yeah, there's something to be said about that. And Sourblow 18 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Inflation is so bad, Double Barrel Gaming. Prices are getting a price hike, 2 subs instead of 1. Let's go, everyone." That is funny. But yeah, I mean, listen, inflation is hurting everyone, folks. One particular point that I wanted to make, and I lost it in my chain of thought, was the UK. Folks, again, I follow economics, the world economics, very, very closely. and they just announced that inflation, folks, in the UK has gone up 18%. Think about that for a hot second. 18%. That is 1/5 increase in your everyday living. That's hard. And what's bonkers is that Sony town. The EU and the UK that's Sony town, and they raised their prices there. It's just a sad state of affairs. Let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere on this. Fuzzy, obviously this was the big story. You got a chance to hang out with me yesterday during which was normally a one-on-one show. If you missed yesterday's X Vlog Live, it had a monster panel, which is not the norm. It's usually a one-on-one, but the stories were so big that I needed to reach out to people that I knew were going to have big opinions. Has any of your opinion changed from yesterday, or have you want to add anything to what you had to say regarding this ridiculous price hike by Sony?
My opinion hasn't changed, and it's one of those things where, like with the post that you made on Twitter, I don't understand the dogpiling, because and bear with me here. At the time, my parents were, I guess you would say, middle income or middle class. Let's just say, although my mom retired, it was cheaper for her to retire and raise me as opposed to us doing like childcare and stuff like that. So I know my dad worked some long hours at times, just so that way, and it was beyond the food on the table, roof over the head and all that stuff. But there were times like for Christmas, I was like blown away that I got a ColecoVision. I was one of the few kids that even to this day, I don't know how my parents pulled it off. I was one of the few kids that had an Aquarius. So even though we didn't live like kings, he worked for the government, retired military, went straight into government work. And it wasn't like at that time, I don't know how many people, I don't want to do politics, but at the time when they say government cutbacks, that usually meant government layoffs. So all of that being said, my dad or my parents both always wanted to have a way to reward me for either my birthday or the holidays and things. I tried my best to do well in school, and I did pretty good for myself. But I don't understand this mentality that you have to be of money or it's yes, hobbies are expensive, and it doesn't matter what hobby it is. It's a luxury or it's an afterthought. It's not a necessity type of thing. So in that sense, it's always going to be an expense involved. But to say that, okay, if someone's struggling to put food on the table, but yet the kid is, busting their hump in school, that parent is going to try their best, even if they're working two jobs in a lot of cases. And this is what a lot of kids that I grew up with. And even for myself with my kids, it's like, you're going to do your damnedest to make sure, excuse my language, you're going to make sure that your kids have what either you didn't have, or at least what you had, or what you feel that they deserve. And I can't imagine somebody saying, well, if they're struggling to put food on the table, this isn't for them. Okay. There's some validity to it. Maybe they should be more cautious, but yeah, people in reality, if you go that path, you're going to lead a very drawn out and I won't say boring life, but it definitely takes away from your full potential. Because I think there's something to be said about rewarding yourself at some point. You have to, yes, some people kill themselves working endlessly and never experience any of the or benefits or reap the rewards of that hard work, because they wind up being in the ground before they can either retire or take those vacations and whatnot. So I just look at it this way: gaming is meant to be an all-inclusive thing, much like most hobbies are out there. And if you're going to have a company that's not lowering the bar of entry, and they're making record profits, the hardware is of an older build, yes, I understand parts go up, but a lot of times companies absorb some of those costs because they want to continue giving you that gateway or that entry point into their system, or just in general to their storefront. So by raising the price on hardware, and yes, they didn't do it here because they know better, but in the UK, where they pretty much are still leading as far as consoles are concerned, this is a great way for them to shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, if they were afraid of losing that edge, because I think it's like 22 to 18 mil range or something.
The last I checked, and again, this is a couple of days ago, it was 22 versus 16 and change.
Yeah. So if you're at that close of a gap between your nearest competitor in this next generation, and you're going to, kind of, I wouldn't say sacrifice, but you're going to put at risk your biggest home front, because you've kind of, not really that you've abandoned your actual backyard, but you're putting most of your focus on the UK and the US, but yet you raise the price in the UK but not the US. I think it's time for Xbox to gain more of that market share in the UK. But all things being said, I just think this is just bad timing, bad optics. Sure, there's a frivolous lawsuit against them. Great. Sure, they've said some, less than stellar Sony like, or I would say like a weak Sony statements, although it's posturing. They have to.
You're talking about the Brazilian comments. They made them look like they tried to paint themselves as the victim. It's bonkers.
But you reported profits and now you're raising prices. So basically everything you said in that document is kind of null and void at this point. They kind of exposed themselves to some extent, but all in all, I feel bad for those that may not have picked up that PS5 in those regions that were looking forward to picking up a PS5. But like I said, yesterday, there are other means, and there's definitely a lower bar of entry to get into, the Xbox ecosystem. So, if you haven't already stepped into the next generation, I would say probably now is the best time to look at the other side. But just bad move, Sony. I understand it, but I definitely don't agree with it. And yes, I already have my PS5. Yes, I'm in the area where the price isn't raised, but once again, people, praising them for having this premium price for this premium experience, just goes to show what, you get what you deserve when what is it? You play foolish games and you get win stupid prizes. Yeah. So they kind of got what
that's good stuff. Yeah.
You pay $30 to buy a stuffed animal that's like
worth 10 cents.
$5 maximum at this point.
That's good. So just to feel like you won a prize, but you paid for it. What a dumb mentality. Like I said, I walked away, and I could have read a dozen more. Some of the comments that were said to me specifically regarding me saying, it's hard for people to put food on the table. Why raise the prices of something that you don't have to? People are just bonkers. People getting their feelings over this console war stuff, and it's just wow, man. It seems like sensibility goes right out the door. But
you mean poor people have to eat?
Yeah,
I can't believe that, Howard.
Yeah,
oh my God!
Give them the Grey Poupon and the.
Oh my God, those commercials! Oh Lord!
Ah, my God!
Do you have the Grey Poupon?
Yeah.
Oh man, back in those days, I was hoping in something like that would ever happen. It'd be like, all right, kick in some bass boy. Yeah, sure.
That's good stuff. Listen, let's get Web Dave into the conversation. Dave, this is, again, it's still the biggest story of the week besides Gamescom, besides Microsoft's response to this price hike, which we're going to talk about now, and a few other things. It's a shame that negative news takes the place of seeing all of the incredible games that were at, of course, Gamescom, but that are coming into Xbox Game Pass. I mean, like Lies of P was my game of the show. There's the game by Squanish Games. Why I keep forgetting the name of that game?
High on Life.
High on Life. Yeah, dude, did anyone watch the Xbox extended show yesterday that Xbox didn't even talk about?
Dude, it's such a dirty game too.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Dude, it's filthy. Like it shocked me, and I've heard a lot, and I'm like, wow. Like you're going to have to put the headphones on when you're playing, especially if you have kids. Like, wow. But it's that kind of humor.
I'm going to play it with the teenager, and he's going to enjoy every
He's going to love it. He's going to be laughing, rolling around on the floor because it's so dirty. It's crazy. But
I've heard worse on COD matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have, but
Man,
what,
I get
what,
it's too much of Royce. I got to move on.
No, Royce is always welcome here, brother. Just like I said, write checks for everybody. Make sure those things don't bounce. Dave, what are your thoughts on the price? Like, we didn't get a chance to get your opinion on it. Is this a nail in the coffin of Sony, and did they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak? Because I mean, they're still the market leader, but this move seems to be like it's arrogant Sony wreaking its ugly head again.
It doesn't look good. It really doesn't. It's not a favorable light for the company. Because we're struggling to see how they're hurting so bad that they have to raise their prices in certain markets. I mean, granted, it could be that things do, cost more and things are, they're up against their budget and they have shareholders and things like that they need to answer to. But this is just doesn't seem like the way to go about it. But they're doing it. That's done. I don't think they're going to go back on it. I don't see them reacting to it. I think they're just going to hunker down and get through it. And I think this holiday season, we'll see where the chips fall as far as the demand compared to the price in those markets. But we'll see, especially if Microsoft does some kind of drop. That would be insane if Microsoft, embraces the let's give them the best
did
value.
there, Dave. I like it. I like what you're putting down.
Well, but I'm saying that it's for the people that are coming out and saying it's honestly horrible things. and I'm real surprised too. Excuse me. A lot of the airline companies, a lot of people that have made these asinine comments, about if you can't afford gaming, you shouldn't be in it, or that Game Pass is for people who can't afford real gaming or some. I mean, oh my God, Microsoft has made you can get Game Pass for $10 a month, not Game Pass Ultra, but just Game Pass for $10 a month, and that makes a way in, whether it's on your PC or tablet, a lot more affordable for some people. That why should people that are struggling be denied entertainment? A lot of ways, the entertainment that in the industry, gaming really, got a big, huge boost during the pandemic because people
Indeed.
were like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, we need some entertainment, something that's affordable. And it really helped put gaming forward. I mean, obviously I'm not saying that's a good thing that the pandemic happened, but as far as that, there was definitely an outlet that's affordable for a lot of people that wanted to be able to entertain their kids. It's just one of those things where it helps your mental state. It helps your, mentally, if you're able to, game with people, be social through gaming at a time when you couldn't get out, and then to just slap in the face that, oh, well, if you can't afford a real game console, or, I've got them all, just like I think everybody here on this panel has all these systems plus computers. Some of us have multiples of these different consoles, and the one I play the least is the PlayStation. Now, it's got some great games on it, and I do enjoy it, but I don't know. It's almost I don't. What are these people thinking when they would come out with these kind of comments? I mean, it's really shows their true colors.
It's very small-minded. It's if they're reading the room by looking through a keyhole rather than opening the door. Yep.
And if they're wanting to get views or hits, or they're going about it the wrong way, because it makes them look absolutely stupid to put down or to say that if you can't afford a PlayStation, if you can't afford the level of expertise that I mean, I'm sorry, God of War is a good game. Is it the best game I've ever played? Hell no. Is my life going to be over if I never play that game? Nope. There's a lot of other better games out there that I would thoroughly enjoy, and my life will go on complete without playing a Sony game if that's what it came down to. Sorry, but it's just so disappointing that these people are making these kind of stupid comments. I mean, it's like, why would you do that? Other than you're just an idiot, you're stupid, you're petty, and if you really think that you're somebody really special, I don't know. It's very disappointing that the community, as some of the people have made these kind of comments, and I 100% agree with you, and and your defending of this position that the small mindedness, and let's face it, they're definitely, I don't know of a somebody that's coming up with these kind of thoughts and these kind of direction to take the conversation. It doesn't, just doesn't get it. That's disappointing. Now, and for Sony, we'll see what happens in the long run. Time will tell in the next year or so, especially. Excuse me. Sorry, a little.
No, that's okay, brother. Listen, you're just recovering from COVID. I'm still recovering, and I had it weeks ago, so
that's no joke.
The fatigue is the hardest part. Yeah. But I tell you, the thing that gets me though is this holiday season. I think is really gonna, even though people are talking about all the games and stuff that Microsoft doesn't have coming out this year. I think that the next year in the holiday season, especially if they have a price point that comes in at a lower price to make it affordable for people that can't, because the diehard people, the quote unquote people that can't live without these systems, most of them have already got what they want. Most of them, so the people that they're going after now are the ones that maybe don't have a lot of money, and little Timmy's been good for a couple of years, and we've been saving up to get this certain Xbox, you know what I'm saying, or a certain system, for my kids. This is going to be the Christmas we wanted to, to really, treat them, and then with the economy and everything else, I think it's great that there's affordable gaming out there. So anyway, I've rambled on.
Well, no. I mean, listen, you were very passionate about what you had to say, and we appreciate that. And that's what this is, a conversational podcast. But listen, folks, we're nearly 90 minutes in. We still have over 600 people here, which is bonkers good. I got to shout out Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member for 2 months. Tim, thanks so much for that. He says this: we here in the Netherlands got a very high inflation rate also. Traditionally a PlayStation nation. I see changes. No longer only me with an Xbox around me. I absolutely agree. I definitely think you're onto something for sure. We also have Raiden Blade, who drops who's been he's been a channel member for 1 year. Actually, it's 16 months. Thanks so much for that. He drops a £5 super chat, and he says, to backers of the price hike, go drink toilet water. That PS collab has eaten your little gray cells. To my UK PS bros, sisses, good luck. I stand with you. Yeah, and that's the other thing. You think about that. It raised in the UK, which just announced that for the first time in hundreds of years, their inflation has gone up 18%, record-breaking 18%, and they're getting this price hike. Sony can SAD. I don't want to say on the air exactly what that is. You figure it out. Raiden Blade, who has been a channel member for 16 months, drops an additional comment, says, Sony knows that if they raise the price in the US, they are done. In UK and Europe, because they control that market, they can abuse them. They can abuse them more like it. Yeah, that's the thing that's pretty interesting. And that was one of the talks we were having yesterday. Why didn't Sony raise it in the US? I mean, they're apparently hurting in every aspect. Why not the US? I'm going to tell you why. Because this PlayStation 5 has lost 3 quarters in a row to the cheaper Xbox Series S and eventually and potentially the Series X. Like I said, if I'm the bean counters at Microsoft, right? The ABK deal is potentially going to be sewn up, hopefully by Black Friday. If that happens, I talked about this a couple of days ago. The perfect storm from Microsoft versus Sony is that they do get this deal before Black Friday, and on Black Friday they drop the Series S to either $250 or the power price of $199, and they drop the Series X by $50. And just think about that for a second.
They include 30, 60, 90 days worth of Game Pass in the box, and they turn around and they dominate the sales for Black Friday, breaking Sony's old record of their Black Friday from a couple of years ago when they had the PlayStation 4 Slim a Spider-Man edition with Spider-Man 2018 for $200. That flew off shelves. That's records that has yet to be broken. Well, I think Microsoft could use that to their advantage. And the carrot at the end of the stick, just picture this. They can't put Call of Duty 2022 into Game Pass because of the marketing rights. We know that that's a fact. They might not be able to put Vanguard in Game Pass because it's probably still locked up for 2 years with Sony and the marketing rights. That's fine. Just imagine the announcement, the fever pitch that would be gaming as we know it, that going into the holiday season, besides the fact that you could have potentially a $200 Series S or even $250 and a $450 Series X. Let's just take that. You know, you're getting 60 days of Game Pass in there for free. They announce that from 2020 and before, they're dropping 13 Call of Duties with HDR support and all the extra stuff into Xbox Game Pass. I mean, a blitzkrieg of Call of Duty. Marketing rights or not, people are going to be like, yo, F PlayStation with their increase. I'm not buying it there. I'm going to wait till it's in Game Pass. Right? I mean, I know you're going to move a lot of customers over from Sony. A lot of the casual market, 80+% of Sony's fan base right now is casuals, folks. I'm telling you, 80% is a low. I think it might be more than that. But listen, let's get into the final topic. And this is, again, it's on par with exactly what happened yesterday. And that is thanks to Jez Corden of Windows Central, friend of this program, co-host to one of my favorite podcasts, the Xbox 2 with Randall Thor, each and every week on Randall Thor's channel, which he is closing in, folks, on. I think he's at 84,000 subs the last I checked. I mean, that's bonkers. That's bonkers. And he's going to eventually hit the 100K like Dealer and Colt and many, many other of my favorites. But we saw the story unfold, and of course, the lead story that I have on my screen is from WindowsCentrals.com. It's written by the great Jez Corden, and the title is "Xbox Responds to PlayStation's Hike. Will Xbox follow suit?" And quite frankly, this is what they had to say. Now, this didn't come from Phil. This didn't come from Sarah. This didn't come from. It came from, I guess a spokesperson for Xbox or Microsoft, and they said this: "We are constantly evaluating our businesses to offer our fans great gaming options. Our Xbox Series S suggested retail price remains at $299, or in the EU, $250 or £300." In those regions, and the Xbox Series X here in the US is $499, $450, and £500 respectively in those countries. There is no price increase coming. Okay, now I look. Here's the thing: there are certain ways that when you have these situations that I feel someone at Microsoft should have been scrambling, whether this be Phil. I would have much rathered a Phil Spencer quote because it would have been more human, right? That was very robotic. That was very corporate. I'm not a fan of that. But I'm gonna read something that someone put out there. He goes by the name of Peter. It's at PeterP_85 on Twitter. I've been following him for years. He's been following me, and he wrote this. And I think that they should have paid this. They should have been hiring this guy. Because sometimes Microsoft's PR is great. Sometimes they didn't wake up on the right side of the bed. And like I said, it's a proper response. All you want to tell the folks is, hey, we're not increasing our prices. I get it. But check this out. This is what Peter had to say. He replied to Jez Corden when Jez put out this article. He says this: "A strong PR stance could still be achieved with a price hold." And this is what he had to say. And I quote: The global economic, the global economy is hitting everyone hard, but we are resolute in our goal to make gaming accessible to all, and so we will not be increasing the price of the Series S or the Series X. When everyone plays, we all win. That gave me goosebumps, folks. Like straight up, like gave me goosebumps. That sounds like a Phil Spencer response. That sounds like a Sarah Bond response. That sounds like an Aaron Greenberg response. Like I said, I can't fault the corporate, machine that is Microsoft to give that PR response that sounded like it came from a robot. I get it. I get it. They just want to put it out there. Hey, we're not raising our prices, folks. You're good, and that's good. But I think that there should have been a more human touch to it, and they would have smeared more poop in Sony's face. That's how I would have done it. It would have been a nice way of doing it.
Let's not give them pink eye.
Yeah, let's not give them. Well, I say give Sony pink eye. That's quite all right. But listen, Crispy, let's get your opinion on this. What are your thoughts on Microsoft's response? At the end of the day, the real conversation here is that they're not raising their prices, and we could expect them to dig the knife deeper this holiday when they could be. I mean, Crispy, think about this for a second. They could logistically, if they drop both consoles $50, be $100 less than both consoles.
$100. Think about that. $100 actually means a lot, because when I put 60 in my gas tank when I'm, every week to go to work, yeah, that actually means something. I will say I understand the roboticness, but you have to realize that Jez is at Gamescom, and he's going to talk to who they allow to. I mean, Phil obviously doing that Bloomberg interview either somewhat before or during Gamescom with Bloomberg. I don't know. I mean, we'll probably never really know until there's some kind of, extra documentary about, how they've navigated this whole ABK deal and everything else, because that was a huge part of it. So, it's one of those things at this point, like Microsoft knows they have the at least mind share to say, you know what, we will respond. Now, robotic or not, being from a PR person or not, they did at least respond, because we haven't seen nothing from Sony, who did the dirty deed. Hello. Let's be honest for a second. Sony would be far more robotic than what you just read right there. So I give Xbox a lot of credit, because they know what they're paying, and they're probably taking a loss, at least on the Series X. I would say that. The RDNA 2 involved, everything else, they've been taking a loss for a while. Now, I think, even with inflation and everything else, it's probably about where it has been. They're going to take a loss. They're looking for subscriptions. They want people to subscribe.
Yep.
I think Xbox needs to figure out that family plan or make an announcement immediately, because people that are just gamers, that are not, extreme fanboys for PlayStation, that have a PlayStation 4, are going to look at what they're providing right now, and the fact that, you've increased after 2 years the price for the newest console, and they still have a PS4. Well, Xbox stays pat at the minimum, and I think Black Friday they're going to get real close to $200, and it's going to sell out like water, because Phil already said in that interview, I don't know if we're going to have enough. So there's a reason that is what he's saying, because I think they plan on dropping the price, because they want people in Game Pass, and that's the beauty of it. Like, you're literally paying $15, and I can go on the PC upstairs that's in, my adopted son's room, as I like to call it, and I can download PC Game Pass, and I'm already subscribed to it. Game Pass Ultimate, I'm $15. It's not $18. Do you get PlayStation day and date? No, you don't.
No, you get old games, which they said, their players said, we don't play old games, Xbox. Suck it.
And dude, like, I have like boom, like, I just sit here sometimes and I'm like, dude, like you already went against what you just said 2 years ago or a year ago. Like, I'm sorry that maybe I'm one of those like crazy people that I remember South Park with the member berries. I remember. Yeah. I use that all the time because I freaking member, buddy. And you are sitting here capping for the first time in the history I have been playing games to increase the price of a console that's the same exact console that you released 2 years ago. Well, Xbox is like, you know what? We're staying pat, but also I see discounts everywhere. I can get a Series S if I really want to. Am I going to buy it? No, I have a Series X and the Xbox One X still works perfectly fine that I have. You know what I mean? So, they allowed that to happen. You know what I mean? Like Xbox One X could have been completely out the door. Yeah, they stopped making it, but they're still supporting it. I can still play every game that I play on my Series X on my One X, just about. You know what I mean? Or through like some type of cloud stuff. Like, we believe in generations. Like, yeah, sure, Jim. You sound real smart right now because you just like trashed all over and said, well, our PS5 is worth more than, what we've been doing. We're releasing our games on multiple devices that include the older devices. Is that holding them back? I question that. Also, I question the fact that, people defending, Sony, but not praising Xbox are saying we're not increasing. By the way, Nintendo did this even far before when inflation really started. A lot of people don't realize that, but they did that in June. By the way, they're not.
Yes, they did. As a matter of fact, Greg, you brought that up because Sony's they're on that lonely island.
Hey, we got those gifts, baby. Take the L. Maybe change it because, yeah, sure, you got your extremists, trying to, defend this, but you also got people that were interested in PlayStation and then after this said, I get it. I can get it in the US for the same price if I can get one, which I can walk into Target down the street and get a Series S or X, but there ain't no PlayStations, by the way. Sony just basically told you that we are going to be the scalper now and we are going to take more money, but not from the US because, inflation doesn't count in the US, apparently. We're gonna only involve inflation in the markets that we are leading in. Makes sense, right? No,
yeah,
it don't.
It's again, it makes you wonder, why is the U.S. the only one that's unaffected? Is it because we don't have inflation? Because rent went up for everyone, Con Ed went up for everyone. Con Ed here in Westchester County, where I live, went up 15%. 15% for Con Ed.
We went up 20% month over month for a good half a year. 20% month over month.
Do you know what they said? They said if we do this in the US, people are going to be up in arms. Well, guess what? I have brothers in the UK. I have brothers across the world. Okay, Asia, whatever. I might not be effective, but I also have a voice, and I'm not going to sit here and just let, a $1 billion corporation just trash, the people that are loyal to it and enjoy their games. And some people will just agree with the extreme, I have a voice and I'm going to tell you that you need to, be the Grey Poupon and go in the Rolls Royce and go and be that person that has to purchase everything. Or you're going to be like somebody like me who's been frugal my whole life and, was a part of Blockbuster for years. And that's how I played games half the time. Okay. And all Game Pass is doing is putting it in my living room and I don't have to go down the street. I mean, pretty incredible. Sorry. And, to have a competing service, supposedly competing and charging an extra $3
more for old games, by the way.
Just saying. You can't put your stuff day and date. And yet we know they're making profit from Sony PlayStation. Hello. Like, yeah, maybe they're taking the L because, their TVs suck. Yeah, they do, by the way. Samsung and LG killing everybody. Okay, Sony hasn't been relevant in years. All right, you can say me the Bravia and this and that. No, they suck. Okay, played on them, they suck. All right, I mean, a TCL is probably better than the Sony TV at this point.
King David is rolling over as we speak.
and that's the worst part. Like I've heard Hisense, TCL, like all these companies are competing, and that's the point. You know, now you have allowed Xbox. Xbox don't have to do anything but just stay the way they are. Like, and that's why you got this response, because they're just like, yeah, we could just chill. Like, we're good. Like, we may or may not be taking a loss on one or the other console, but we priced them the way we thought was right. And, you know, if we take that L, we should be able to gain that within the subscriptions. And when they allow you to join for $1 a month, and Sony's done this, by the way, as well, which people could take the L for that because you guys are just hilarious. Sony has done this, people. And if you're one of those Sony fanboys, they literally have copied. Look at the PlayStation Edge controller. I mean, come on. Okay, that was their big announcement at Gamescom. Whoop-de-frickin-do, dude. When Xbox decides, hey, Elite Series 3, or, you know, they just release a better version that doesn't break. But guess what? I could have got multiple controllers. I just hadn't, you know, like I had the Gears 4, you know, Elite Series 1. I didn't want to give that up. They weren't going to give me one back. They were going to give me a regular, you know, Elite controller. You know, they were going to give me a new controller, but
yeah, it's funny that actually happened to me. And Aaron Greenberg got involved. He saw me post that on Twitter. I said I traded in my Gears, and you sent me the black one, right? And he reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, listen, we're going to make this right." So I said, "What do I do with the black one?" He says, "Well, just keep it. We're going to give you the Gears one." So I wound up getting it. Yeah, and I wind up actually, believe it or not, I gifted that black one to Mooch, because he had, basically had me on the podcast. And it wasn't because I was paying him. It was just my way of paying it forward, saying, hey, thanks for introducing me to the gaming world. I have a seat on Crossfire. And then after that, I created the empire known as, as Double Barrel Gaming. But that's what happened to me. They sent me the black one. I was like, wow, this is not what I really wanted. I'm like, all right, I guess it's a new controller. And he actually reached out to me personally. Garen Greenberg DM'd me and says, "Hey, Craig, listen, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna make it right. We're gonna get you the Gears controller."
An executive, technically an executive at Microsoft, reach out to you. Isn't that something? I mean, I don't see anybody having conversations with any Sony.
That's my personal leg lamp in gaming.
I mean, so, yes, it was robotic. I'm not going to sit here and BS. I mean, but, I think, like Phil in that interview, like, yes, he was completely on point. And like they even showed the beginning of it when they were just talking about their kids gaming and stuff. And I mean, it was funny, the conversation. And it's like, yes, they have to be strategic, but also Bloomberg has been notoriously really like hateful against Microsoft, especially for the past few years. Yeah. So, it maybe it's just, Bloomberg realizing like, hey, like they're at least doing the right things in the tech industry right now. And they're trying to make stuff, more inclusive, more affordable, and also acknowledging the fact that there's so much part of the world that doesn't have a means to game. And, I mean, even Phil brought up Africa and stuff like that, and how the next big games could come from, the African continent. And it's like, when has anybody ever talked about that? Ever? Okay. Because they are willing to put the cloud services, which they announced like basically at the same time, that you can basically develop a game within the cloud. That is called inclusiveness, people. That's called taking somebody that loves gaming, that wants to build something, and not having the means, not having the rig or whatever, the dev kit, whatever it may be, and saying you can still make something. And that's something special. And you know what? You could sit here and you could talk and say, oh, he's being PR. This dude has talked like this for the entire time he's been head of Xbox. Okay. And now he's got the board seat. Basically, Xbox has taken, from 1 trillion to 2 trillion. Microsoft is not looking at Xbox like a joke. They're looking at it and saying,
they're not the little brother anymore, Crispy. They are the equal.
So, this is where you go and say, like, at least they responded, and they responded the way we thought they would. Because if they responded the other way, we would have been like, whoa. Because guess what? On this panel, and I know on every panel that I'm on, at least on this program, on Double Barrel Gaming, we keep that same energy because that's the only thing we can do. Because I'm a damn gamer at the end of the day. I don't care what plastic box.
Good stuff. Dreadpool, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You obviously have talked about, you've let us know that your company was bought out from underneath you, and you had some concerns. Yes, Microsoft responded, which is what we wanted, and they confirmed that there was no price increase, and that was from Microsoft. That was the machine known as Microsoft that probably came out of a computer. I would have much rather personally had Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond or Aaron Greenberg, go out there and say, hey, listen, folks, let's just take it easy. Listen, well, we can't speak for other companies. We can speak for our company, and rest assured, there are not going to be any price increases. And I think, again, it's still a genuine response. It's just not what I would have wanted. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Phil has always spoken a certain way, and this is before he even got into his position. He's always been very articulate and purposeful with his words. And I understand it's robotic, but I mean, I know everybody would absolutely love to see Phil get dirty and say, this is how we share games in that version of
that would have been
great.
This is
how we don't price hike. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I could see that, but it's not in Phil's nature to do that. He's the type of guy that, the way I see it, right? The way I see it. I'm not saying I know him personally, because I don't. None of us really do. We just know from what we see from the outside, just like, we on the panel know each other personally, where the community only sees the outside of us, so there's so much we can be transparent to our communities, but there's still a private life that we see that we also share amongst our friends that are in the community and in the podcasting scenes. So you got to remember that Phil has, his side, and he has to show, his persona on the outside is going to be exactly what it is, because, it's still Phil. It's not that it's not Phil. It's still Phil, so when you see something like this, you kind of want to see that shade, but that's not in him. I see him as the type of guy that, the epitome of what, at least us in America always like to walk around with, speak softly, but carry a big stick. And that was, and I think that was the kumbaya. Everybody kept on saying, oh, kumbaya. Nobody wants kumbaya. Everybody wants this. Well, you know what? He's been speaking softly. The
dollars have been speaking for him, haven't they?
Yeah, but I mean, let's see, Major League Baseball, and even more recently, Death Stranding. Granted, it's not on Xbox console, but it's on Xbox Game Pass. So there's certain things that you never thought you'd see, and here it is. But I mean, but that's part of the thing, though. And Phil's even stated it that, they're not our competition. We work well, and they want a competition level, so that way all the companies do better, right?
It's funny you say that, because if you ever hear Phil Spencer speak, he doesn't speak about Xbox specifically. He does, but when he talks about the industry, he's really referring to the actual industry proper: Sony, Nintendo, Embracer, everyone. Yeah.
Yes. So, and that's the thing. That's, we want to see that shadiness. You want to see oh yeah, well, we got you back. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. It's still too early for the West Coast to say something like that. But well, I'm sure the West Coast is like, I wake up to that. Yeah. But but that's the thing is we want to see that, but at the same time, he's very purposeful with what he's doing, and for him to say all this stuff, and then to see people. Even people that there's certain members that some of us respect, and then to see them change that and throw it into a negative, like, well, there's no real response. They said no. Well, how did you change no, we're not going to increase into something completely different. It's not even what he said.
I agree.
You know,
There was a lot of spinners last night.
Right.
Yes.
And like I said, and some of them were people that, you know, we respect. And it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You know, but it's like the extreme pony lemmings, you know, they're practicing the Hippocratic oath and don't realize that what the true definition of the Hippocratic oath is not hypocrisy. It's do no evil, do no harm.
Yep.
You know, and what are they doing? They don't even know what the word is, and they're doing it. So I just,
it's disappointing when you see that. It is, especially when you like to consider someone that you've worked with them, you've known them, you've tweeted their stuff, you've retweeted their stuff, and they do something like this, and you're like, man, you just jumped on the bandwagon, and I don't know why.
And it makes you look bad because you're associated with them, you know, and that's the worst part. It's like, don't, you know, you can have your opinion. I'm not saying that they can't have their opinion, but
there some of their opinions are motivated by likes, clicks, and subs, and that's gross. That's just gross.
So, and that's the whole thing. Phil stays away from the drama. These are drama fueled people.
Yeah, as he would call them, Dreadpool, bad actors, which he likes to keep himself away from. I mean, listen, again, Crispy Bomb and you have just, man, you guys have been knocking it out of the park with your comments, and this was just another great one as well. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your opinion on this. Was this the proper, cold, calculated response that you're okay with, or did you want a more warm and fuzzy Phil Spencer to get out there and drop some knowledge bombs and do it, in a way that, well, how Phil knows how to do?
I would have preferred more of a personal touch as far as Phil's messaging, or a message from Phil in reference to the not having a price hike. But I totally understand why, given, unforeseen things that may arise in later months or later years that, he doesn't want to necessarily be holden to, and they don't want to necessarily give a full-on, prepared response, especially while they're, focusing on Gamescom at the moment. But I would have liked to see something between like a normal Phil response and maybe a share your games kind of moment, because this honestly is the perfect opportunity. And I think we saw from like the Microsoft lawyers with the responses in Brazil to some of the Sony accusations or comments. I think it's time some of the gloves get taken off, kind of thing, to some extent, as far as this industry. Although I totally understand why they won't probably take that approach anytime soon. But I would have liked to see them, speak out to the fans, the Xbox. I wouldn't say Xbox loyal, but Xbox gamers in general, or anybody that's a gamer in general that maybe on the fence of their next platform purchase and so forth. Just because at this point in time, a cold message, kind of like those text pictures where it's like, oh, a game is delayed type of deal. I think it's time we get to more personable approaches on things. I mean, COVID is, yes, obviously still a thing, but as we try and work our way or navigate our way back to some semblance of normal or a new normal, I think we can go back to, I wouldn't say a more compassionate, but more of a in front or face was it face forward or forward facing type messaging system, as far as but it would have been a little bit better of approach. But the cold one,
it does what it needs to do. Yes, exactly. There's no price hike. Rip off the Band-Aid, there you go, right? Shout out to Daddy Jim, Jim Ryan in the chat, folks. He says the price increase makes him warm and fuzzy. Indeed. Web Dave, let's get your opinion on this, brother. What are your thoughts on this? Was this the proper response? Is it what we needed, the rip-off Band-Aid response? Or like Dreadpool, like Fuzzy, like Crispy, like myself, would you like a more personal response from like the head of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer?
Yes, I would have liked a better response. But was it okay? Yeah, because it basically just cuts right to it. It's like, we are not raising our prices, period. That's all there is to it. They're not raising their prices. So that, again, not only it makes them, I guess, above the fray. They're not necessarily going to get into the slinging that a lot of Sony, Sony fanboys and stuff are wanting to get. Oh, come on, Phil, bring it, because they want something to feed off of and to complete and stir the pot. It's not saying that they won't have something to say about it. And I do believe that Microsoft is going to say something about it in the way of prices during Black Friday and the sales that come up, and I think the last word, the final word, is actually probably going to come from Microsoft when they're actually continuing to gain the leadership over the market, with their prices and their their ability to bring together such great franchises for Game Pass. I just think that yes, it would be nice if you could hear directly quote from Phil, but is it necessary? I would want it, but I think for right now they're gonna let it ride and let Sony kind of hang themselves a little bit. And
you know the old saying, give them enough rope, they hang themselves, right? And that's what Sony's doing right now. Yeah, 100%.
Yep,
yeah,
that's what I got, buddy.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Titan Drago, who just jumped in here. Infinite Double A. DM me. We'll get you on the show next Friday morning to hang out with us. Dread, Web Dave, Fuzzy, myself, maybe even Crispy for next week's Breakfast with Boom. Let me just catch some super chats. There's been quite a few of them, and then we'll get everyone out of here so you can start your weekend and enjoy your Friday afternoon. Infinite Double A drops several super chats. First one of $2 says, "I'm about to eat breakfast while watching BWB." That's awesome. I love that. He drops another one, says, "Can't believe Sony and their business practices." Yeah, it's very disappointing. Viper, who's I just saw for the first time. Viper, if you're new, brother, welcome to Double Barrel Gaming, and hopefully you sub the channel. He drops a $1.79 pound super chat. Thank you for the generosity. We're just happy you're here. Living here in the UK, Sony upset many. Yeah, I think this is going to have ramifications. I honestly do. Raiden Blade, who's been a member for, oh my God, a year, Raiden. Thank you so much. He drops a £2 super chat and says, Sony has paid for content on Hogwarts to be exclusive. Yeah, it's one mission. It's one secret, exclusive mission that they probably paid. Maybe if they didn't do all these deals, they could have money not to raise their prices. They can afford
to keep all that.
Saying. There you go. Let's see. Danny Passion Official, good friend of the program, drops a $5 super chat and says, Sony paying for in-game content exclusives that's worth for real gamer than the price hike. I had to do some of my business to say in business. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's. I just, like I said, before I even read that, I just said that moments ago. I think that if they didn't have all these exclusive locked up deals, maybe they have money, some of the profits that they've been making on 12 million consoles sold since last year in August. They didn't have to raise their prices, but it's just corporate greed. Raiden Blade drops an additional £2 super chat and says, let's face it, Jim needs his boat. That's right. That is the yacht. That's King always talks about. He needs that cash. And Infinite Double A drops a $2 super chat and says, I would love to be on the show again sometime, and we'll definitely get you on next week. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your Breakfast at Boom. Thank you. We had over 600 people here. Big shout out to everyone that came out. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Mrs. Boom and I are marching towards 12K. I don't know if we hit it in this year. That would be something, but we're going to give it the old college effort. We hit 10K on the Iron Lords podcast in January. We hit 11K last Breakfast with Boom last Friday. And we're doing really good. People are really enjoying the content, and we're happy for it. Let's get to the outros. We'll start with Crispy Bomb. Crispy, you're not really a guest. You're part of the family. You got the key to the front door. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where that you can find you on other podcasts, but more importantly, reach out to you and potentially strike up a conversation on social media.
You gentlemen, as usual, class acts, definitely brought up different points regardless of my rants, and I appreciate that people actually like it. The 600 people, I was surprised that I don't think anybody got kicked out or nothing.
No, there was one guy. One guy got rid of a little while ago who said, "Stop crying and buy a PlayStation." So,
that's just an asinine thought process.
It's dumb. It's dumb. We don't need that kind of rhetoric here.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. What I appreciate is that over 600 people sat here and we talked games. We talked gaming. We didn't talk about too much plastic boxness. We just want the right thing for the consumer. And when it comes down to it, I'm consumer, you're a consumer. Let's be honest. We don't want Xbox to look at PlayStation making record profits even more than they already have. And we're going to sit here and be like, well, Xbox does it. And then you're going to talk trash about them because guess what? They haven't done it yet. They've already stated that. So let's be honest here. You have a choice. If you have a last gen console, you have a choice. And you could have a 1X, you could have a PS4 Pro, but there's a point in time where you say, what value do I have? And I think that's the question you need to ask yourself.
Indeed.
I'm not gonna make your mind up for you. All I'm gonna say is that I've been in the age where I rented games for 10 years of my life, and it was perfectly fine to me. And I'm not technically renting games. Like, I went and played PGA Tour 2K21, okay? And I played that with Sir X last night, and I bought that game, or he might have bought it for me. I don't know. But the point is that game was purchased, and that's because we have Game Pass, and we don't have to worry about Halo, Gears, Forza.
You know what I did this morning? I cashed in $30 of Xbox reward points, and it paid for half of Saints Row.
Nice. Reward points. You know what I'm saying? Like Microsoft. Yes. Like,
they
I get
me
it.
to play games. This is
But I get it. Like some PlayStation gamers just don't understand what we have. Like, they have been so pro-consumer lately. I'm actually waiting for them to screw up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, after the Xbox Live stuff, all of a sudden it just went so pro-consumer that maybe they realized that, it's called mind share, and, not raising the price in these certain regions because they haven't raised the price for the US. You know what I'm saying? Like, not raising the price in these certain regions means something to those people that are in those regions. And for me to sit here and not say anything about it, what PlayStation's doing, because I'll be honest with you, I was 10 years on PlayStation 2, just about, and I was going to buy a PlayStation 3 until they said $600. And I'm like,
another job.
No, I'm good. So if you want to hear my thoughts, at ChrisBomb on Twitter, ChrisBomb28, Xbox Live. You can find me on the Retro Renegades Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We got the next podcast, 8 p.m. on Thursday. And then, of course, Primetime Gaming, 7 p.m. Wednesday, but also maybe here sometimes.
Well, it's great to have you back, brother, and love you like a brother indeed. Dreadpool, sell your brand. Tell everyone about Breaking Bread with Dread, and where could they check that out, not only on YouTube, but on the RSS feeds like their favorite podcast service.
Yes, as always, first and foremost, we got to thank all 600 plus that have shown up in the chat, hanging out, watching the show, interacting with us, not being dicks. It's early enough, right? Yeah, we could say that. But yeah. So, other than the one idiot, but that's fine. We had great conversations.
Actually, there were several. I didn't see them. Shout out to Lethal Papa, who banned them immediately.
Yeah. So, that's the thing, though. For the rest of everybody else, it's been civil conversations back and forth. We didn't have, at least on our side, we didn't see many problems, and that's the beauty of it. We're welcoming to everybody, and this isn't just an Xbox show; it's a gaming show, which people tend to forget.
Yep.
We are calling out bad practices. As I like to say, deceptive practices. So, but yes, thank you all again. With Crispy here, it feels like back to normal. It's not like a new family member. It's an old family member that's come back to.
He's been traveling the world, and he has come home. Yes, yes,
exactly.
I love that.
So it's great to see him back and hear Crispy Tater talking. But again, thank you all. To find me, it's on Twitter, Dreadpool. Those are actually zeros. The YouTube channel is just all letters. Nothing's changed. It's just all letters. Like I said, YouTube at Dreadpool, and also Anchor FM podcast or redistributes to to Apple, Google, Spotify, and all that.
All those big ones,
for the Breaking Bread with Dread. And I'm still working on it. As you see on the YouTube channel, I'm working on a video section for Breaking Bread to let you guys in it, the 360. So if you guys want to move around and see all the 360 video, and you control what you look at. So that's the cool thing that I'm working on, and including that into the Breaking Bread. So that way, not only do you get audio, you have a choice to get video. But again, thank you guys. It's always a fun morning hanging out with you guys and the chat. So take it away, Boom.
Thank you, brother. Well, it's great to have you here, brother. And it's really good to see the success that you're having with Breaking Bread with Dread. Love to see it. Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can get the best and hottest racing information on your YouTube channel, but also where they can find you on social media and other podcast services.
Well, just want to thank you for having me on. It was always a great conversation throughout this entire time, and thanks to the chat for interacting with us and everything. Just greatly appreciate being here, and it's gaming is just this hobby that I enjoy, and it's just so much fun, chatting it up with you guys and everything. For any of those that want to hear my endless ramblings on anything gaming related, though, you just follow me on Twitter, Fuzzy_Belvedere. My YouTube for anything racing related is Fuzzy_Belvedere. And then for those that want to see some other podcasts as well, check out Xbox Ultimate 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. Shop Podcasts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel, and then FSP on Fun Speculations channel Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then right back here on Breakfast with Boom with the family. Can't wait.
Thank you so much, Steph. Great to have you a part of this show each and every week. And of course, you've been busy. You joined me three podcasts this week, so thank you for that. And Web Dave, brother, we're so glad that you and the family have turned the corner of your COVID nightmare. It's great to have you back here, brother. Love your opinions and love what you do on your channel. You do a lot of great one-on-one interviews. You've done some of the big ones, and some big ones even that you haven't announced are coming. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone about your one-on-ones on YouTube, where they can check out the website, and where can people reach out to you on social media.
Thank you, Boom. It is truly feel blessed to be on your show. It is a great outlet and a great way to reach people, and you do such a great job, and you have such a great panel, and it's truly
we're happy to have you a part of this, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And of course, like I said, great interviews that I've got coming up. My dog's in the background; he's dying to go out, so I got to make this quick. You can hear him whining. I'm coming, buddy. I'm coming. But we've got at Outbreak podcast on Booms will have you the link in the description. Yep. You can click on that. But like this week's episode that we just dropped on Monday has been phenomenal. It is Everborn Saga. We get in deep on his on all his endeavors, and he's got a lot of things in there. It was a really good interview to get to talk to him. I have interviews with every single person on this panel right now are up, including Booms, which was the very first one, which is fantastic. You find out a lot of interesting stuff about a lot of great people. And this week's coming on Monday. We got Infinite Umbra. We'll be making his debut on the channel. You get to find out a lot of stuff about him, and we will do a little singing. I'll just say that for you. Yeah, you can't miss it. It is a fun episode, and lots more people coming. I've feeling pretty lucky with this series that I'm doing, and so far it's I've had people that want to be on, so I love that.
That's good stuff,
man. Thank you so much again, man, and everybody here. Thank you for being here. Keep up gaming, man. This is great.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Big Bad Mo, who's been a channel member for 5 months. Shout out to you, brother. And TK Chillin drops in a very generous $10 super chat on the way out. Says, great show. Thank you. No, more so thank you for being here. But of course, thank you for the generosity. And of course, that generosity is going to be paid forward, folks. We are doing 3 monster giveaways for the total of $2,000. Boom's birthday bash in September. We do annually. We're giving away $500 worth of digital items, digital gifts in the form of gift cards to your favorite store. We added one last year, Mrs. Boom's birthday bash. Her birthday, you get the gifts, folks. $500 worth of digital items. All you got to do is be in the chat when we're doing Breakfast with Boom to win. And the big one, that's coming for Christmas. And that's we're going to rope every holiday into it. $1,000. It's the most we've ever given away. And we're giving $1,000 worth of digital gifts. And the big thing is you don't got to be a resident of the U.S. to win. If you win outside of this country, we will recognize you. We will get you your prize, whether that be through a Cash App or preferably PayPal. And we pay all transfer fees, all differences in currency, as well as the actual fee to transfer the money over to you. We pay for everything. You are asked to pay nothing. And all you got to do is be in the chat to win. You do get extra entries by being channel members, subscribe to the channel, and dropping in super chats. We add everyone. You get extra. You get upwards of 4 additional entries for all of what I just described. And those are coming up. Those will be here. September will be here next week. And, obviously at the end of the month, we'll be, making the announcement of when all of these big giveaways are happening. And we can only do them through channel membership, through super chats. Because like I said, I'm a retired dude. So I use this. We tuck these away and we buy equipment. We buy programs that we use to, to make our thumbnails. And we buy, I bought a new light for the computer. As you can see, I'm more brighter. We buy the equipment, but for the most part, we do save these super chats to give away, to pay back, to put back into the community. And listen, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.